Let me reveal something shocking during my research for this episode. I'm extremely baffled and concerned by the totality of this ongoing issue. So, I implore you to please consider the following. A 2001 survey claimed that 77.1% of Canadians claim to have a Christian faith. That was 25 years ago. A decade later, in 2011, that number dropped to 67.3%, a 9.8 decline. And in 2021, only 53.3% of Canadians identify as Christians. Imagine that. Nearly half a lifetime if we've lost almost half of that shared belief in our society. Retrospectively, these statistics reveal a moral reckoning of epic proportion in what we are experiencing as a society. I hate to say it, but the world is in a deep sunken place, and we live in very troubling times where nothing is short of seabeds of opposition working hand in hand with the devil. The devil has demon and disciple as much as God has angels and apostles. So let me ask you, which side did you find yourself on this morning? There is this warfare between good and evil brewing, and it is a dangerous cocktail waiting to go up in flames. More now than ever, it is important for us to stay vigilant. There is also unspeakable atrocities, deplorable acts of violence, conflicts with innocent casualties, the very true form and nature of moral depravity, and a primal example of humans overstepping. There is a quote, I don't remember the exact words, but it's timeless, from a man named Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was a writer, a thinker, someone who lived through tremendous human suffering and understood the depth of human depravity. He witnessed firsthand how ordinary people can be pushed into extraordinary evil, and how morality can fracture when society tolerance for wrongdoing is surpassed. The essence of what he said goes like this. The world has a certain tolerance level for evil. There will always be evil in this world, but when that level is surpassed, all morality cracks and human beings become capable of anything. Think about that. That's not just a theory. That's a primal example of humans overstepping, a warning that spans time and culture. It's the kind of insight that cuts through the noise, forcing us to confront the moral reality of the world we live in today. And I say all that to say this. We're in a state of time. Neither heaven nor the earth knows what the is going on. Excuse my French, but that's just where we're at. What I really want is to address the elephant in the room. I hate the premise that whenever we want to have a rational conversation, people just default to ignorance and irrationality. I mean, it's a pretty bad omen if you ask me. We live in a time where unethical behavior is praised, rewarded, and woven into the very fabric of society. It's not just sick, but vile to the greatest degree. To give you more context, consider the current state of OnlyFans. As of 2025 to 2026, has grown into a global content subscription platform with roughly 305 to 377 million registered users and 4.1 to 4.6 million active content creators. Users are overwhelmingly male, about 78 to 80%, while female users are 20 to 22%. The largest age segments are 18 to 24 at 29.6% and 25 to 34 at 31.3%, meaning more than 6 in 10 subscribers are under 35. Flip the camera to the creators, 84% female, 14% male. Creators are mostly young adults in their late 20s. I think everyone can agree and acknowledge that OnlyFans is essentially work by another name. A safer, more viable way to monetize adult content. Now, I'm not here to knock on anyone's hustle because growing up is a series of uncomfortable collision. Hyperinflation, rising costs, economic uncertainty. The tides are shifting and people do what they have to do to survive. But that doesn't erase the fact that we're facing a moral and ethical crossroad. That said, I don't want to paint everyone with the same brush. Not all content creators do this because they want to. Some are pushed by circumstances, separation, divorce, kids, responsibility, bills, survival. I can sympathize, even empathize for those who don't have the means to care for themselves and their families. That doesn't make their choice easy or right, but it does make them human. We can critique the system, call out the moral tension, and still recognize the pressure that pushed people to the fringes. But if we want to judge fairly, if we want to see who is sincere and who is straddling the line, we first need to understand the difference between morals and ethics. So let me give you guys that framework. Morals is when someone knows to not cheat on their spouse or know that they should not steal, all well knowing they still can do it anyway. That's why a serial cheater continues to cheat because they have no shame. They can't acknowledge what they did was wrong. Ethics is when a person knows to not cheat on their spouse or know that they should not steal, and they simply do not do it. This is why when some people who would do something bad to someone, every time when this person crosses path, they would quickly cross the street to avoid them due to the shame that they felt. That shame and humility is a good indication that you have ethics. You know what you did wrong and you feel extremely bad about it. Now, everyone can have a moral compass because the first talking point was pretty self explanatory, and we all get that. But where we all fall short is we lack the ethics to uphold those morals. So, not everyone gets that. In the same breath, ethics should be the non negotiable gold standard in how we should live and conduct ourselves in full service to each other and to our society. There's a difference between being receptive and being responsible. There's a spectrum here. People are receptive, but they are usually passive about it. Whereas there are people who are receptive, but who are responsible people. So it's important to be the voice of our own reasoning. A deceived person, by the very nature of deception, has no possible way of knowing that they are being deceived. That is, unless someone shines a light onto the issue, revealing the truth to them and exposing the lies for what they truly are: lies and deception. Yet there are stories of faith intersecting with this modern world. Take Nala Ray, a person who quit the platform, embraced Christianity, also share her transformation online. Another influencer who goes by the name Black China, her real name, Angela White, left the platform, removed cosmetic enhancement, embraced faith after baptism, and completely changed her life. Sophie Rain, still producing content but identify as Christian. And then there's Lily Phillips, stepping back, reconnecting with faith, but her action tells a different story. Two things can coexist at once. You can claim faith and still act contrary to it. You can step away entirely, or you can straddle the line thinking intention is enough. It's tough to be a female in today's society. Social media continues to bombard them with vanity, allure, and the constant message that is the only path to buy you into a good life. That in itself is a travesty and a dangerous narrative, yet standard practice in advertising, marketing, and a culture we inhabit. The phrase sells is more than just a slogan, it's a philosophy shaping behavior, ambition, and choices, quietly coursing the young and impressionable. But intention without alignment is empty, faith without action is hollow, and this is where Lily Phillips come in. Last year she was arrested in Indonesia, later released. She speaks with defying confidence in an interview. Did you think I was going to do jail time? Now, before going there, she expressed concern, consulted with her lawyer, fully aware of the fact and legal consequences. She planned every detail, weighed every risk, made every move with strategy, calculation, anticipation, and intention. Every move is measured with precision. But let's be clear, her actions don't align with the faith she claims. She is straddling the line, playing a game between God and compromise, which makes me deeply skeptical of her supposed spiritual reconnection. I fear it spreads the wrong message to the young girls. I get why people make these choices: economic pressure, survival, whatever the reason, but I don't support it. Work is not something I endorse, and weaponizing God to justify it, that's dangerous. That's misleading. That's morally corrosive. I like Sophie Rain because at least Sophie Rain is plump and honest about where she stands, even if I disagree with her choices. Sophie's not hiding behind spirituality while continuing the work. That's why many say she's a lukewarm Christian, claiming faith yet choosing to stay in a lifestyle that contradicts traditional teachings. But make no mistake, Lily Phillips is no Nala Ray, she's no Black China. Lily represents the danger of faith claim but untested, morality spoken but unpracticed, intention celebrated while actions contradict them. Her story is a mirror for our time, showing what happens when human desire meets temptation, when words masquerade as conviction, when the line between ethics and survival blur. And that is the truth I want to leave you with. Faith is measured in action, not claims. The past is behind you, the windshield is your choices, your alignment with principle, your courage to stand when the world whispers compromise. Do not let intentions alone define your life. Do not let claim faith substitute for integrity. If there is one takeaway from this moment, one prism through which to view all moral ambiguity, is this: watch actions, not words. Measure the heart by what it produces, and never mistake intentions for righteousness. That is the reality. That is the battlefield. That is where humans overstep and where faith, when willed correctly, becomes the only weapon that matters. This week shows us how fast the world moves, from tragedy at Crans-Montana bar fire, to Greenland strategic ice and land grabbing debates, to Ontario threatened to ban Crown Royal and the cross province road trip it might spark, to federal ice shooting spark protests across the nation, to an Emirati teen breaking barriers to top the world, the viral debates over morals at Winnipeg Beach, to Canada facing a mental health and workplace crisis, to Trump's de minimis and China crackdown tension, to the dangers of journalism stripping context, and finally, to OnlyFans, faith, and the moral crossroad of a generation. These aren't just headlines, they are reminders that every action, every choice, every decision echoes farther than we think. Stay informed, stay critical, stay compassionate, and remember, the world isn't slowing down, and neither are we. That's it for this week. Until next time. That's what the happened this week. Over and out.
Take me back to my hometown. Take me back to my loved ones. We were kids.